But these things, I mean, I'm sure that's been thought of in a way to secure that. But like this thing, see, there's not like a little screw thing that you can screw into. So they're gonna have to fasten this another way. My guess is it's gonna be glued in.
The cretin has just made another guess.
And that would make the most sense. Then you wouldn't have any vibration. It wouldn't come loose. That's probably the best way to do it. And then if you need to replace it, there's probably you just put like a heat gun or something to undo the glue, and then just replace that part.
The door actuators, and the knock-knock sensor. These two boards are some of the distributed circuit boards around the vehicle that control co-located devices. We do this to cut down on wire harness weight. We also cut down on the connector sizes of these boards and try to use more direct wire-to-board connections to save even more space and weight. Many of the boards also don't have traditional bulky enclosures, and they instead are going to be made with dust and waterproof coatings.
It's ironic that they're cutting down on a few grams here and a few grams there in weight on wiring for the small things that use electricity. And yet they put 50-pound motors inside wheels where car manufacturers are going, we need to shave off grams on our wheels because it affects ride and handling. They just go, yeah, we'll take a little bit of weight off the electronics inside the body of the car, on the silly trike, I should say. It's still not a car. We'll save on weight there, but we'll ignore the fact that we've filled the whole ride and handling of the vehicle with 100 pounds of front wheel weight in wheels and another 50 pounds in a rear wheel weight, so that it's a death trap over 60 miles an hour. That Abu Dhabi racetrack where they said they were limited to 60 miles an hour because they didn't have a helmet, I believe they didn't go over 60 miles an hour and never have gone over 60 miles an hour because they don't want to die.
Now, this is a kind of approach we take around every engineering decision.
But yeah, I think I really like that. I mean, these boards are inside the vehicle. They don't need to be that protected from the environment because they're already protected from the environment. So they're not going to add another enclosure on it. That's just extra work, extra cost, extra space, extra steps in manufacturing. So they're just going to like spray something on there, I guess, to protect it a little bit more before they install it.
And to make sure that every journey can be powered by the sun. Next, let's talk about Pi2. Last month, our chassis and suspension design got finalized thanks to our Italian team. This month, I'm thrilled to share that the chassis and suspension are being made right now and will be at APTERA headquarters this summer.
Okay, so that's a little vague. I don't know what the lead time is. So I'm guessing they don't know what the lead time is either. I mean, summer could be
The cretin's guessing again.
as late as end of August. I think like end of summer in America is thought to be like Labor Day, so which is like early September. So they're saying by this summer it could be July, could be August, could be early September even. So we know that Pi2, if it's going to be a drivable vehicle, cannot be built until this chassis arrives. And if this chassis arrives in early September, you know, we're not going to see a PI build until like mid to late September. And so
There's no point even guessing because APTERA are going to go a year or two behind what they ever say anyway. So why try to guess a month here or there? These people are out by years.
I think in my mind, there's already some timeline slippage happening. Um, and so I think the timeline where there is a delivery of an Aptera like customer vehicle in early 2025 is not likely, given that I don't think we're going to see a drivable PI build until maybe September. Because I think if it was going to happen in July, my guess is they would say, "Oh, it's coming in July," because for it to come in July, they would have to be almost done with this and getting ready to like package it and ship it over here because July is just like next week. And so I think they're thinking more August, maybe September even for this.
The order is made up of multiple metal pieces, with some being CNC'd and other smaller parts being bent out of aluminum. We've already seen progress from the factory and are thrilled that these parts will be ready soon. In preparation for this exciting time, the electrical systems team is continuing low voltage and high voltage integration testing for the components used in Pi2.
Okay, this looks really cool. Like this is also footage we've never seen before. This is some kind of mock-up of the electrical system in the APTERA. I think this is one step away from what they need to do. Is they need to have a full mock-up of this in the actual vehicle. So they did the wiring thing with Pi1, and then they need to redo it, maybe in Pi2, or maybe they'll do it in Pi1. But they need to reconfigure this test bench on a vehicle, I think.
They've had Pi1 for almost 3 months, and they're making things in boxes, not on the vehicle itself. Hard to say vehicle. The shell. Pi1 shell, or the bink, has been sitting there, and all of this stuff should have been installed. I believe this stuff was done when they had around about 100 employees, and is very old stuff. How they can use it in a June update now is beyond me, and I think a bit deceptive. If they've made this stuff a year ago, it shouldn't be in the update.
And I'll show you why I think that.
Outside the vehicle. Now, this bench validation is a critical step to ensure that engineers have full access to the devices.
So yeah, this is cool. You can see, like, I don't know what an OBC-AC input is. And it's AC compressor, DC to DC, inverter, solar, battery heater, cabin heater, charge port. So this is cool, but it's all box. So it's a very this is just a test bed. They need to put this into a vehicle and test the electrical system in the vehicle. And what made me think of that is there was this cool video about that CNET did about Rivian, and you can see that there's this test mock-up of the Rivian.
Transformers lab, what is this? So this is what we call a lab car. This is where we put together all the electronics that belongs in the vehicle together without the actual body.
And you can see how complex the electrical system in a Rivian is. It looks like it's much more complex than the APTERA, which is good in terms of cost and manufacturability for the APTERA.
And this is how we get to test to see that it actually works. This gives you a sense of just the amount of electronics that exists in the modern vehicle. Everybody talks about it, but gives you a way to actually literally see it. There's a high-performance imaging radar. Down here, high compute systems.
So you guys see how this is basically a mock-up within the actual vehicle, like the frame and the chassis of the vehicle. So, and with all the parts in place. This is just a box. And so this recapitulates a much better test bed to test and validate things. So they need.
I don't need to say anything by way of criticism here, because the cretin is actually criticizing quite well himself. He's hit the nail on the head here. He's showing how it's supposed to be done, and now think about looking at that girl that has done almost nothing in 3 months other than measure a couple of bits of wire. Didn't even place it, just sort of held it over where it might go.
Need to do this, I suspect. I don't know if it's going to happen with Pi1 or Pi2 or Pi3, like one of these, but they need to do this. And recently, Rivian just got a big cash infusion from Volkswagen. Volkswagen is giving them $1 billion. And remember, Rivian is in this area where they have a successful vehicle. People are buying the vehicle. They're manufacturing the vehicle. And people are generally pleased with the quality of the vehicle.
I'm not even sure why he's brought up this. The cretin has this weird logic where he brings in other articles that are totally unrelated to what's going on, and he just takes people's minds off the issues. What's Rivian and Volkswagen and their deal got to do with the June update at APTERA?
But they still are burning through cash, and they need to stop burning cash. So they're running out of money, and so this helps them. They're getting a $1 billion cash infusion that keeps them solvent for a while longer. And if this goes through, then Rivian is going to get $4 more billion from Volkswagen, and Volkswagen is going to give them a total of $5 billion if everything works out according to plan. And so what Volkswagen gets out of this is Volkswagen is getting access to Rivian's hardware and software stack, because they're trying to move, the auto industry is trying to move to something called a software defined vehicle.
That's all from me. Bye for now. Stay safe.